I wasn't intending on vlogging right now, but I picked up The Invasion of the Tearling on audio, I think yesterday, and it's baffling me. I'm like 75% of the way through, and the first book is The Queen of the Tearling. It's a trilogy. This is the second book, and I don't know how to describe it without sounding so insane, but basically the first book is like a high fantasy. This is a spoiler. There is some sprinkling in of information that tells us that like this high fantasy world is actually set like in the very, very far future of our world that we live in. This is a split perspective between the girl in the high fantasy world, like the Queen of the Tearling in the high fantasy world, and this woman from 2058 living in like Connecticut in 2058, where women are like hated, like think Handmaid's Tale basically, and they're like sharing visions like across time, and I'm like, this is absolutely 5-star material, other than the fact that I'm like so baffled. Like these two worlds are so different and they're communicating across time, and I just don't get it. So maybe by the end, when they tell us what the hell is going on, maybe it'll be a 5-star, but right now it's like, I'm just like, I'm loving it, but I'm also just like, I wish I could have these two worlds actually exist properly in my brain, because right now they are incredibly separated, and I don't know if they mesh together well yet. But I literally have been listening to this all day. I cannot put it down. So that's where I'm at right now. I finished The Invasion of the Tearling. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. It would be a 5-star if it was more comprehensive. The way that the two women are like interlocked is still really muddy, and I felt like it was a little bit of a filler novel to get us to the point of finishing the trilogy. That being said, it was super fast paced. I literally could not put it down. I really, really loved it. It was just, I'm still feeling wanting. Like I still feel like I wanted something out of this book that I didn't get in the end. But again, I like it's really good. It's really, really good. I just like the science, like the like dystopian United States, and this like really, really far into the future fantasy world that we follow. They're like magnets that don't, you know when magnets like don't want to connect. That's what it is in my brain right now, and I feel like I have to sit on it, but I also have the third book, Fate of the Tearling, right here, and I really want to read it. So I haven't been filming myself listening to all these books on audio because I listen to them on my phone, and I do puzzles, and I have my coloring app on my phone, and I also use my phone to film. So I'm just doing these like little updates. Yeah, I guess I'll try and do more like intermediate, like halfway through, but I feel like when I'm in an audiobook, I'm so focused on the audiobook, and I'm like so focused on my puzzle or my coloring book or like whatever I have. I'm on like the last legs of my cold. I'm starting to feel like I'm getting better. These audiobooks have just been the best way to just like sit and rest and chill at home while I feel like trash. So I got my big boy camera, and basically I'm like, I want to be able to show myself reading these audiobooks. And so I have my camera that I got a really long time ago that I'm just gonna film myself listening to my audiobook. It's literally just gonna look like I'm on my phone, but I'm listening to my audiobook and I'm doing a puzzle on my phone. So finished this beast. I hunkered down today and read or listened to it on audio for like 4 hours, and I finished it. What a wild series. I have literally never read anything like it. It's like a mesh of like high fantasy and like sci-fi and dystopia. It's just like the craziest thing ever, but like underlying throughout the entire thing, there's like the themes of like just like family and what it means to have people who love you platonically and romantically, and also like what it means to like be a society. I don't even know how to describe it. Like the elements of like what it means to be like genuinely good versus like out for your like own gain. It's just like interwoven through the entire series, and I've literally truly never read anything like it. This is absolutely a 5-star. It still has some questions at the end of the last book, but this book answered all of them and also like left it really open-ended, which I really, really love. That's like a unpopular opinion, but I love it when things end ambiguously. I finished another book on audio, and she was a big boy. It was like 19 hours. So it's like 2 days later and I'm back with another finished book. I finished Beyond the End of the World, which I haven't talked about at all. But I started it yesterday while I was at jury duty on audio, and I finished it just now and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars again. It's a world where there is a city in the sky and like a kind of kingdom on the ground, and a boy like falls from the sky, and there's all this magic and mysticism that the people on the ground have kind of come up with, and they see him as like a god, while Nim, the destined ruler of the people on the ground, is like drawn to him, and then they have to like go on this like big adventure to stop the people who are trying to usurp her throne. And yeah, this is the second book in a duology, so I finished another duology. I loved it so much. It's sort of the same as in the Tearling trilogy, where it's a really cool blend of magic and science. Basically, the magic that the people on the ground have is just really advanced technology that the people from the sky recognize. It's just a really good mesh, and I decreased my rating of The Fate of the Tearling to a 4 because I just thought this book did it so much better, and I've kind of been thinking about the ending of The Fate of the Tearling, and I kind of was wanting more. It was so good, but I think this book kind of showed me what I wanted out of the kind of magic / technology system of the Tearling trilogy. So yeah, I loved this. It's such a beautiful book too. Another audiobook down. I'm like flying through all of these audiobooks. I cannot stop. Next on the audiobook docket is The King of Attolia, which is the 3rd book in the Queen's Thief series. I have it in my Libby account. It's ready to go. As soon as I feel the need to like do a puzzle or color in a coloring page on my phone, I'm gonna pick this up. It's only 10 hours of audiobook, which means 5 hours on 2 times speed, so it should not be that hard. hi, it's me talking after like a billion time lapses and not talking clips. Basically what that just was this was yesterday, but I was at a coffee shop, the same coffee shop I always go to, and they just started playing a Taylor Swift playlist, and I was like, this is not helpful because I'm trying to read. And so I literally just like vibed to Taylor Swift music for like an hour and a half. I tried to read, like you can see me reading, and that is mainly the parts of the day before they started playing Taylor Swift. But I did manage to get some reading done, and I went back this morning and I finished The Righteous. This is obviously the third book in the beautiful series. The fourth book, I also just realized, doesn't even come out until December, so I don't know if I'm gonna read it this year or whenever. And I haven't like set it because that's like holding myself to a certain standard, but my like kind of like soft goal is to finish all the series that I have started by the end of the year, which is not that many, so I'm hopeful. So basically, yeah, I finished The Righteous this morning at the coffee shop. I gave it 3 stars. Again, it was kind of just like a filler book. Unfortunately, it followed 2 completely different characters. They were in the first 2, but they weren't main characters. The only vampire stuff is that there is like a vampire character, and that's it. They didn't even complete the goal that they went to the fairy realm for. It felt like nothing happened. The end was too fast. It was like a page, and I was a little bit disappointed. I mean, not disappointed because I kind of got the vibe of what the rest of the series is gonna be from The Damned. I was just like, oh, okay, this is a book. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. Like, there were some elements of it, like some parts of it that I was like, oh, like I really enjoyed that. It was very romance heavy, very like slow burn romance heavy, which I don't mind, but I also do like some kind of semblance of a plot. And there are so many plot points that were introduced in The Damned that did not get resolved, barely even got talked about in this book, which is really frustrating. And about the thing that they set out to do, which I mentioned either at the beginning of this video or the last video, but it was like this big thing at the end of The Damned that they were like, we're gonna go fix it. And that's what I thought this was gonna be about, but they literally maybe mentioned it like twice in the entire book and did not accomplish the goal. The thing that happened centers around my favorite character, so yeah. But obviously I am gonna continue it once The Ruined, I think is the last book, comes out in December. I just don't know when I'm gonna read it. And as for the King of Attolia, I'm listening to it on audio. I'm loving it. I love this series so much. The central character in the series is the same character throughout the whole series, I think, up until this book. But the story is told from other people's perspectives following his name's Eugenides. I just like find it so interesting, and I like, it's so compelling because it's told really lyrically, and I just really, really love it. And I think I'm gonna finish it today because I only have about 3 hours left, 3.5 hours left. So I'm excited. So it's the end of the day, basically, and I finished The King of Attolia. I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I do love this series. This felt like, again, a filler. It was very, very political. It was very slow. I loved the kind of friendships that were being formed in really kind of interesting ways that you wouldn't necessarily think of. All of these friendships were being made where the intent was something else. And I just like, I love it when you can kind of like pique my brain and go about a relationship a different way than the classic like, oh, they've been friends forever or they're forced to become friends. It's like, this really highlighted the different ways loyalty and friendship kind of come about, and I really, really loved it. That being said, I would not have been able to get through this if I was not listening to the audiobook. So I am gonna end this video here. I don't even know how many books I've read, but I feel like I've read so many in the past couple days. I'm getting back into reading and I'm loving all of these audiobooks, and yeah. So I have 12 more books until I have finally finished all of the series that I have already started that are on my shelves, and I'm like really excited. I think it's possible to do it by the end of the year. It's the beginning of October, 3 months. I think I can do it. So I'm excited. I'll catch you later.